label. And so that I stepped into that world, got into production, filming, editing, mostly music related. That in turn led to this new museum that was opening called the Musicians Hall of Fame, honoring musicians of all styles of music, to bring attention to the people behind the scenes. The singer, the perfect example. Everybody knows Elvis. Mm-hmm. Our job is to say, hey, there was Scotty, there was Bill, there was the Memphis Boys, there were all the studio musicians that backed, that played on these records, the producers, the engineers, the songwriters, all the people that went into the process.
I always have a question. You know, you said you started as a guitar player, and then you eventually played the bass, stand-up bass, which, you know, in the 90s wasn't popular, I don't think. You know, you had the Stray Cats doing that a little bit the decade earlier. But if you recall, when Elvis was doing Jailhouse Rock, there was a song called You're So Square, Baby, I Don't Care. And Bill Black, who was Elvis's bass player, they wanted him to play an electric bass for that track. And Bill had some difficulties with that, right? Why do you think that was so difficult for Bill to accomplish? Because eventually Elvis had to pick up the guitar and do it himself.
Right. Well, it's a different animal. You play bass lines differently on an upright bass than you do on an electric bass. Just like you would play a melody different on a guitar than you would on a mandolin. It's a different setup, different tuning. But with the upright bass, just the physical setup of it. You're utilizing the same four strings, it's the same tuning, it's the same intervals, but it's a different physical maneuver. Mm-hmm. And there are songs that lend themselves more to an upright bass. There are songs that lend themselves more to an electric bass. That You're So Square, I can hear it in my head right now. That's square on the bass. My head can go to the place where if you're playing that on an upright bass, you're gonna do a different thing. If you have that in your mind already, that's how you're gonna play it, and then they put an electric bass in your hands, it could make it more. It could make your approach differently, and the producer or whoever was involved would hear it and say, "No, that's not what we want."
Son, I understand you did know Scotty Moore and DJ Fontana.
Yeah. Oh, just through the museum. I guess I first met Scotty through BR 549. We played at the Ryman Auditorium with John Fogerty. And Scotty was there, and I just had a pinch me moment with, oh my gosh, Scotty and DJ were both there. I guess as guests of John Fogerty, okay. They were there, but they were real nice to us, and then through the museum, of course, built up a more of an actual friendship with Scotty and DJ, and really just great guys, and they were so. I don't even know what the right word is, but it meant so much to them that a place like ours existed to bring attention to them. Not that they lacked for attention, surely, but that was the point of our museum, was that it was about people like them. And one of the best compliments that I've ever gotten about the museum was from Scotty Moore. We were walking through the Sun Records exhibit, and he was looking at the pictures, and he turned to me and he said, "I've forgotten a lot of stuff in my life, but when I come here, I remember." And I remember getting goosebumps when he said that, and it was so overwhelming and emotional, and that I realized that it really touched him. We were standing in front of a blown up photo of Scotty standing in front of his apartment door in Memphis, I think in '54. And it's him outside of his front door, kind of squinting in the sun, and he's standing there with me. He points up to that photo and he says, Bill's bass." He says, "Bill's bass is right there." And I'm looking at the photo, and there's no bass in the photo. So I wasn't quite sure what he meant. And he said, Bill lived about 3 doors down from us, and he didn't like carrying his upright bass back and forth because we would rehearse in my front room there. So he would leave his upright bass right in the corner inside that door of our apartment. So he said, I know his bass is right there. He pointed to the thing. And I just thought that was such a cool memory, and to stand there and be a fly on the wall as Scotty was reacting to that was priceless. And I remember DJ Fontana one time, I was in a studio with him. He was telling Elvis stories. He'd been playing drums and was telling the stories. And we were in the control room, and the people left. And after they walked out, he kind of exhaled, and he turned to me and he said, people just never get tired of hearing Elvis stories. And the way he said it, it wasn't, oh, poor me. Mm-hmm. It was just more of like, I can't believe people never get tired of hearing Elvis.
One of the exhibits there that I found to be remarkable was a recording device. Mm-hmm. I'm showing the audience that right now. It's a large record player. It looks like a record player. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, it's called a Reco Cut, and that was Sam Phillips had that, and would make direct-to-disc recordings. So, of course, you could hire Sam to make a recording. The medium that he used at the time was a disc, a shellac. Mm-hmm. What do you call it? An acetate recording. They're kind of a thick version of a vinyl record. So when Elvis would have come in June of '53, whenever that was, to make a 2-sided record, that's the machine that would have been used. Now, we had that machine. We knew it was Sam Phillips. We got it through Shelby Singleton, who purchased Sun Records in the late '60s and brought it back to Nashville. Scotty was actually walking through, and he came around the corner and saw that machine, and he had this visceral reaction to seeing this recording device, that very machine. I always say that it was like his feathers got ruffled. He cussed. He said, that machine. He said, Sam used to send me out in my station wagon with that, and he did this, like, air quote, that portable recording device, because it's 70 pounds. It's not super easy to carry.
Right.
And Scotty said, Sam would send me out in my station wagon to all ends of the earth, sometimes 20 minutes outside of town, as if that was the other side of the world. But it was funny to see Scotty's reaction to that machine. And Scotty stopped, and he kind of touched my arm, and he said, that's the one. And I said, yeah. I mean, I knew that it was legitimate, that we got it from Shelby. He said, no, that's the one. When Elvis came in to make a record, at My Happiness, and That's When Your Heartaches Begin, that was the machine that they used. And I had a small heart attack when he told me that. But it was so interesting to see it just take Scotty back in time, seeing that machine, after all those years. But the idea that it all started right there blows me away. That the history in that machine, the Rolling Stones played there, James Brown, Bruce Springsteen, Elvis, Ray Charles, just the list is endless. The Beach Boys, just opened in '63. So you're really hitting that sweet spot of American music, and so that they're still doing shows upstairs. It's still an operational arena, and so the museum is underneath.
Say, hey, Elvis came on stage here, and sure enough, that's where Elvis came out. And to say that I kind of walked in the King's footsteps a little bit. It's a pretty awesome experience. I'm showing them fans right now. Elvis did 2 shows July 1st of 1973, and I'm showing some photos that we got courtesy of. We have a friend of mine. He's a photo archivist. He's provided photos for Sony RCA, their legacy edition, and I said, Bob, I need some photos from Nashville, July 1, and of course, Bob came through and provided some great Elvis photos. So I'm kind of just, yeah. So.